And now the man, the legend, Melih Oztalay is going to come back in. Oh, he has to unmute. There he goes.
Points we just got. So yay.
Disclaimer, he's also my social media guru and my webmaster, but I wouldn't bring him on the show if he wasn't effective, because he's done wonders for my website. So every now and then I'll see some social media, something come through, and I'll send it to him and I say, well, what do you think?
Great to be on the show, guys. Mike, you were talking about user experience as it relates to sales and revenue from a website. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of statistics about this topic. A lot of it comes from Google. There's other websites like HubSpot that are that are reliable. They have reliable sources providing all these types of statistics. And there are other websites that provide specific type of services that have these statistics too. So for example, there's a website called Unbounce, and Unbounce, you'll use Unbounce, for example, to create your landing pages for your ad campaigns. And so they have stats on how these websites and landing pages, the user experience, how it affects sales in the grand scheme of things. And so that's the topic for today.
Alrighty then. So let's dig into it. So, I mean, it's nice that there's how many websites there in the world? There's got to be millions and millions of them.
I know.
And so
at this point, I don't know that anybody knows.
It's some crazy number.
Well, I can tell you my employer's website, Lawrence Tech, has 6,000 plus pages on it. So multiply that by, 6,000 colleges and universities alone. And, every business in the world has got one. There's got to be billions of sites by now.
Although I have to admit, I came across a company that were building their website for the first time. So since the internet launched 35 years ago-ish, give or take here, they're now coming around and saying, we need a website. That was a surprise.
You'd be surprised. I mean, I have a lot of tradesmen friends because I grew up in a blue collar area of Grand Rapids, and a lot of them still don't have a website. And I go, even if it's a brochure site, you got to have something online.
Something.
Yeah, I mean
have a Facebook page, right? Have a Google Maps listing. Something.
So, yeah, but they don't. So, but anyway, so if you do, let's talk a little bit about that. What's the most effective way to kind of stand out from the pack, as it were?
So let me take you guys through just the core concepts here, and then we'll dig into some performance statistics that are out there that I think are very important. And so when you optimize your website, and perhaps I shouldn't say website, I should say web page, because any web page, like you could have a 6,000 page website, right? Just like Lawrence Tech. The home page loads fast, but let's say inside pages load slow. So perhaps it's not good to use the word website. Let's just use the word web page. Any web page has to load fast in order for it to have an impact on the visitor. And so if you make the necessary changes for your web page's load time to be fast, then you'll start to see improvements for user experience, and I'll get into that, conversion rates, in other words, whether or not it becomes leads or sales, and ultimately how it's going to affect your business from a revenue standpoint. And so this process, or this marketing process, has evolved and has matured to something that we call conversion rate optimization, or CRO. And so user experience, page load times are all part of the CRO process, the marketing process that takes all these things into account. And so by making changes to your web pages, you're going to generate sales and leads. And you got to consider that these changes are about your calls to actions. It's about the colors. It's about the whether or not you have too many distractions, for example, on the web page. Keep it simple, usually the best. What type of photos, images, graphics, all these things have an impact on whether people are going to convert to what you're looking for, asking them to do. I mean, for example, if you were a nonprofit organization, what would you want? You'd want donations, right? You'd want somebody to sign up for the newsletter, as an example. And these are things that you have to take into account. It is a science now. And oddly enough, in the last 2 years, we have new tools that help facilitate this process, including artificial intelligence, A/B testing tools, as an example. You got your Google Analytics, you got your Google Search Console, all these fun things that help to facilitate this. Anyway, let me move on to some key performance stats, because these are some important elements. The stats I'm going to provide you have come from Google, they've come from HubSpot, they've come from digital.com, kind of a mix of sources here, and they're also a mix of dates too. So some of them are from last year, this year, a few years ago. I don't know that the stats have changed that dramatically. That as long as they're not 10 years old, I think we're good. So the first 5 seconds of a page load time have the highest impact on conversion rates. In 5 seconds, that page has to be up and ready. Anything beyond that, you're going to lose that visitor. Here's an interesting one. Website conversion rates drop by an average of 4% with each additional load time.
Each additional second, you mean?
Yeah. So for each additional second of load time, you're losing 4% more people.
Wow.
So
well, I was going to ask you how I was going to ask you how fast is fast, but now you've just answered that question. So it's 5 seconds, right? So yeah.
So 5 seconds. So at 6 seconds, you've lost 4%. At 7 seconds, 8%. At 8%, you're already above 10%. It's just not a good thing. So yeah, these are types of things. And just real quickly for the audience, my suggestion is go to a website called GT Metrics, and metrics is with an X at the end. GT Metrics is a third-party tool. It's the most popular tool out there. It helps you identify how fast your page is loading, and more importantly, what are the things that you need to do to change that. Free tool, just go for it. It's great. Let's move on. The average mobile web pages take about 15 seconds to load, and this is from a Google research. That's wild. That's because most businesses, once they built their website, they have no intention of going back to redoing it. And that's where our problem lies. And when in fact, as the times change, as industries change, as your audience changes, as technology changes, you have to go back and change your website. I mean, consider putting up a new website every 18 months. That's where we're at today. So there's a reason why that's 15 seconds on mobile. That's a problem. Nearly 70% of consumers admit that page speed impacts their willingness to buy from that retailer. 70% say page speed is the number one thing that they're going for. Half of the visitors said they'd be willing to give up animation and video for faster load times. All right, so you know what this means? They don't want the distractions. They came to your website for a reason. They want to buy, right? And you need to open that path up to make it as easy as possible. Stop trying to impress them by the time they get to the second or third page within your website. You've already done that on the home page. Let's move on. Keep the distractions to a minimum.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because everybody, what I hear from so many people is that it's all about video now, but apparently not if it slows you down too much.
If it slows you down. So be careful. Yeah. Well, it's not that video is a bad thing. His question is, how are you using it? And where are you using it, right? You certainly don't need to use it on the sales page. Stop it at that point. You already got them.
Yeah.
53% of online shoppers expect e-commerce pages to load in 3 seconds or less. Now, that's an interesting one, and that's the new stat from that website called digital.com. 53% of online shoppers expect the page to load in 3 seconds or less. So that's not even the 5-second stat that we had a little bit earlier ago. But it's nonetheless, you can tell that everything is within that 5-second period, right? Or 3 seconds. as page load goes from 1 second to 10 seconds, the probability of a mobile site visitor bouncing increases 123%. So by the time you get to that 10-second mark, you've lost the mobile. The mobile visitor is gone. They're not even looking anymore. And so you need to really pay real close attention to the mobile version of your website, whether it's responsive or not, whatever the case might be. That mobile users, I mean, like for example, LinkedIn. I think the last statistics I knew was like 60% of LinkedIn members use mobile. And so it's got to work. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. So stop doing it and pay attention to what you need to talk about.
So if I was, say, a Southfield-based technology college, and I really wanted to keep my folks coming to the website and using the website, what would you recommend?
So we need to consider looking at Google Analytics and look at the statistics, right? Are people bouncing out? In other words, are they hitting the website and leaving? That's number one. Number two is take a look at your core web pages and find out how many visitors are going to them, and also what they're whether or not they're taking the action that you want. If they're not, that's where your problem lies. Number three, use A/B testing. So many tools out there for free that you can put onto your website that help you facilitate A/B tests on a single page. So it automatically takes the visitors and splits half of them in one direction, half in the other direction. Run that for about 30 days and get the data that you need. Make some decisions based on that. I would say that make your B version dramatically different from your A version. And more importantly, reduce the distractions. That's the biggest part.
All right. I know you have a hard stop at 2:30 because you have another video meeting. We all live our lives on video meetings.
Absolutely.
Yes. So tell folks how they can reach out to you, Melih, if they want to work with you here.
So number one, you can go to our website, SmartFinds Marketing.com. It's quite the informational website with, we've been in business for 35 years and digital since 94. So it's been a long ride. So there's a lot of information there that's useful. And number two is you can find me on LinkedIn. I have 16,000 really close friends. So I don't mind adding more people to it. Reach out to me on LinkedIn.